In this unit, I want to show you how to maintain your required state records, and I also want to talk about New Jersey dealer license suspensions, okay? First of all, you're going to need a copy machine. You cannot have a New Jersey dealer's license without some type of scanner copy machine. Any document that comes across your desk and you maybe think it's not important and you're thinking about maybe not keeping a copy of it, keep a copy of it. New Jersey state law is very clear. All records must be kept for a minimum of 4 years. Your records must be stored at your license location. So the state of New Jersey doesn't want you taking your records home at night. They want you to store them at your license location at all times, and they must be available for inspection by the director or any employee of the Division of Taxation with the state of New Jersey. So please keep that in mind. You're going to need records of all vehicles bought, sold, traded, or leased. You're going to need a name and address of all persons that you bought, sold, or leased from, the dates of the sale, all copies of temporary certificates of registration. So those temporary plates, you want to make sure you have copies of those. All deal documents, okay? And you want to make 2 copies of every single document. One's going to go to the customer and one goes into your records, which I'm going to call the deal jacket. And the law is very clear. You have to keep those records a minimum of 4 years. A minimum of 4 years is a requirement under New Jersey state law. Now, if you're not sure which documents to keep, if you're using a good software program like DiscountDealerCenter.com, it'll easily print up all of your required New Jersey documents for you as well. Or if you sold a vehicle to somebody in another part of the country, it'll wire transfer all the New Jersey documents to that person to digitally sign and get their loan. And then that comes back to you and the transaction is done securely online. And then you can order up any type of temporary permits that you possibly need as well. Something I always state is this is a very profitable license that you're getting, and the state of New Jersey can give it, but the state of New Jersey can also take it away. We have strict rules and guidelines. This is a very tightly regulated industry that you're getting into because it tends to be a very high profit industry that's had a lot of fraud in the past. And any industry that's had a lot of fraud in the past, it tends to be high profit, tends to have a lot of regulatory oversight, but there are some instances where you can get your dealer license suspended. So they can revoke or suspend your license at any time. Here's some of the reasons that you could get a New Jersey dealer license suspended or revoked. Sales from non-licensed location. New Jersey state law is very, very clear. All of your retail sales activity must take place from your licensed location only, okay? So let's say, for example, you're on the outskirts of a city in New Jersey, and that's where your dealership is, and somebody contacts you and says, hey, listen, I see that car you got for sale on Auto Trader. I can't make it out there in the suburbs. Can you show it to me at this mall parking lot near downtown? No, you can't do that. That's off-site retail sales activity, which is strictly prohibited under state law. I do predict that you're going to have to show some of your customers and tell them on the phone, I'm sorry, no, the state doesn't allow me to have off-site retail sales activity. You're going to have to take a look at it right here at my licensed location. You can't show your vehicles at non-licensed locations. Now, on a different scenario, let's say, for example, you got a truck for sale on autotrader.com. And let's say some lady from Dallas, Texas finds it and wants to buy it. That's fine. If you're using like a software program like DiscountDealerCenter.com, you can type in her email address. It'll send all the documents to her to digitally sign, and she can submit those documents back plus the payment. Once you've received the documents and the payment at your license location, that's considered an on-site transaction. So anytime after that, you could ship or even deliver that vehicle down to Dallas, Texas. But what you couldn't do as an alternative is maybe meet this woman at some truck stop in Birmingham, Alabama, do the paperwork there and accept payment there. That becomes sales activity at a non-licensed location. So you can't show your vehicles at non-licensed locations. You can't even meet somebody at another location to do the paperwork and accept payment. New Jersey law is very clear. All retail sales activity must take place from your licensed location only. You have to maintain all of your records. You can't misuse your temporary certificates, and they're only placed on vehicles that you've sold. If somebody came in and bought a temporary certificate from you and you didn't sell them a vehicle, that's a violation of the law. Or if your brother-in-law says, hey, listen, can you print me up one of those TCRs on a vehicle I bought from my neighbor? No, you can't do that. They can only be placed on a vehicle that's been sold by your dealership. So please keep that in mind. You can get your dealer license for suspended for misuse of your dealer plates. So if you're using them on a commercial vehicle or using them on a service vehicle, or you're renting out a vehicle that has a dealer plate on it, you certainly cannot do that. Dealer plates are only used for customer test drives on a demo or for vehicle transport when you're transporting a vehicle, maybe back and forth from an auction, or maybe you have to take a vehicle over to a repair shop or something like that. Fraud or dishonesty. You cannot lie to a customer ever. I want you to be aware of something. If you've got a customer that asks you if there's anything wrong with the vehicle and you tell them no when you know the transmission's slipping and they pay you, you lied to somebody to get them to pay you money. And that's fraud. That's fraud on every level. So you can never lie to a customer to get them to buy a vehicle from you. Okay, that is fraud. Now, if there was a mechanical defect you were not aware of and you sold the vehicle, then you have not committed fraud. But if you had knowledge of a defect on a vehicle and you didn't disclose that to a customer when they asked you if anything's wrong, then you committed fraud. So you want to be brutally honest with your customers and operate your new business with the highest level of ethical standards. Also, you can't run misleading advertising. You can't run an ad in your local newspaper that shows a beautiful Cadillac Escalade for $5,000 and the vehicle you really have on the lot is like a dented up 1996 Chevy Tahoe or something. So you can't run misleading ads or deceptive or inaccurate photographs. You can't alter VINs. Obviously, you can't tamper with odometers or overbill customers. You cannot commit any crimes, basically, during your licensure year. So if the state finds out that you robbed a convenience store, they're going to probably revoke your license. So please keep that in mind. Got to have your signs up all the time. Failure to keep records at your license location. You cannot take those records home. You need to keep them at your license location. Unlawful use of a dealer place or submitting false documentation to the state is definitely going to get your license suspended. So please keep that in mind. I'm a big believer that by taking all the steps that I'm showing you in your New Jersey dealer training course and maintaining 100% compliance, you're never going to get a fine and you're never going to get a license suspension. So if you follow all the rules and guidelines and maintain 100% compliance, you don't pay any fines out of your profits. So I'm a huge believer that 100% compliance equals 100% profits. I really hope that you are finding your New Jersey dealer training course very, very beneficial. Let's move on to the next unit.